This album for me was the new one. I mean, Nocturne was definitely um, a different sort of album for me because I was coming from a very different place than I was with Gemini. Because when I made Gemini, I mean, I literally did everything. I recorded it, played everything on it, mixed it all myself, and so to me that album at the time was such like a deeply personal thing, and it was, because I had control over every single aspect of it. So with Nocturne, I had spent the past 2 years touring and playing shows like all over the place, and I think I mean creatively, I still wrote the songs pretty much the same way, and I even played all the instruments on the new album too, except for the drums, but it was still different because I recorded it in like a proper recording studio and had a producer. So I finally kind of had someone that I could bounce ideas off of, and it wasn't totally just me getting lost inside my own head. But I think that's really just the main difference between the two albums, and otherwise I think that they kind of share a common thread and a common background. I would definitely have like a Smith's album, maybe. I don't know. I really like Meat is Murder. I guess from The Cure, I don't really know what my favorite Cure album is. That's kind of hard. Um, Maybe like Head on the Door, the Cure album. I really love It'll End in Tears, which is a This Mortal Coil album. And Head Over Heels, Cocteau Twins. It's my favorite Cocteau Twins record. That's 5, right? I think. The Go-Betweens. The Go-Betweens. Spring Hill Fair. It's one of my favorite albums. But I mean, with that being said, like this record, I definitely had that in mind. I was thinking more about how the songs were going to sound live, and the ways the best ways to recreate it. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of preparation, but I think we've kind of really been able to make it work over the past few months, just touring and. I always seem to save writing the lyrics till the end of the recording process, and so for me it's not so much stream of conscious, but I kind of don't allow myself to think too much about it. So it's stream of conscious in the way that it's kind of like whatever happens to be on my mind at the time. But I mean, it's not purely spontaneous. I mean, it is somewhat crafted. I like to think that my lyrics are kind of vague, but in a good way. Vague can be bad sometimes, but I hope that it's kind of vague in a relatable way, where you might not always know what I'm talking about, but you kind of get the sentiment. Oh, I haven't heard much about that, actually. Yeah. I definitely can relate to that. I think it's sometimes good to be direct, but other times it's, works just as well to be kind of going around the point that you're trying to make. Yeah. They were always kind of one of those bands that just always seemed to be around. Since I was a kid, I feel like I just grew up being really familiar with them as a band and familiar with a lot of their songs. My parents they probably had rumors, because I think everybody has rumors. But it wasn't really until I got to college that I started listening to their other records, and just, I don't know, it was just something that seemed kind of to be with me and in the sort of collective conscious of like pop culture. And there was something that really struck me about that, and just the idea of pop music being something that isn't only popular. It's not purely in the word. Like, to me, pop music is much more about like the way that something connects with people, and the sort of immediacy that music can have when you listen to it. You hear a song and you pick out the things about it that you like. Like, to me, there's aspects of pop music in any sort of genre of music. So that became really important to me, and like with my record, I thought a lot about what pop music was to me, and kind of, I think, using Fleetwood Mac as a good sort of like role model in terms of what I feel like a good pop band should be. I don't know. I haven't thought much about it. I think he's like a great songwriter, and personally, I don't really listen to his music that much. I have a lot of respect for him. I don't know. I mean, I think there's something just about trying to find some sort of synonym for however you might call it. Like this sort of idea of a project, or that's why I gave it a name as if it was a band rather than just my given name, because I feel like I wanted to do something different with the music that I was making, and I wanted it to not be so much about me, which is kind of odd in a way because it's entirely me, but I kind of wanted to separate myself from it. And I think maybe that could be, a reason why someone else might do that too. And to me, my music is inspired by a lot of bands. But I also kind of had the upbringing where I learned how to make music on my own, so that's kind of just how I knew how to do it. And yet, like most of the music I listen to is like by bands. It's like several songwriters in one group. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, I think also too it might have something to do with just insecurity or something. But then also, I feel like putting out music by your own name implies that it's kind of got this singer-songwriter sort of, lean to it, which wasn't really what I was trying to do either.